Hi everybody, welcome back. So after my last video where I failed to get a print in polycarbonate that I liked, and I want to thank you guys for your suggestions and tips and tricks and the things you learned when you tried to do it, or whether you succeeded or failed. I do appreciate that. Anything that adds to the knowledge base is a good thing, and that's why we're all here, right? I decided that I was not going to get the kind of print I wanted without enclosing it. So I bought some stuff, including the IKEA lac tables. Don't know if I'm going to use them or not, but I bought them just to have them. And what a horrific experience going down there was. Wish I just had them delivered. But anyway, before I do that, because I am going to enclose it, I want to break the electronics out of it. And I have had this now for about 10 days, and I want to make sure it works right. So this is the order I'm going to do this in. And if you'll probably notice, this is my Ender 3 with the all metal hot end. I have broken out the stock, gotten rid of the stock enclosure out of it. Now the board is just sitting there loose. And as you can see, the new board, the BigTreeTech SKR 1.3, is quite a bit bigger than this one. So we're going to break it out. We have to have a new enclosure anyway. BigTreeTech has an excellent source of information on their GitHub page. So do a Google search for BigTreeTech GitHub, and you will find cases and instructions and all kinds of information. Also, I am not going to cover this on a play-by-play, in detail type of upgrade. I suggest you go and watch the video I watched. The YouTube channel Teaching Tech has an excellent video, step by step, installing Atom, getting Atom configured for the board, getting the board configured, and getting it flashed to Marlin 2.0. He's left a few things out, but he may not have run into some of the things I did. So I'll be touching on a few points. But first things first, now that the enclosure's out, I'm going to take the board over. I'm going to pull the jumpers out. I'm going to configure it according to BigTreeTech's information and get an Atom installed, and we're going to flash this thing to Marlin 2.0, and we're going to make sure that the computer recognizes it and it works. And then at that point in time, I'll start thinking about the enclosure, how I want to mount the electronics and the power supply, and this whole project may take me a month. I hope it doesn't, but I have had this board now long enough that I want to make sure it works, so that's where we're going. So hang on, and let's go over to the computer, and we'll take a look at what we're going to do there, and then we'll get going. But hey, if you're going to do this, stop this video right now and go watch Teaching Tech's video. I will put a link to it below, okay? Seriously, it's very good, and I really appreciate the work he did in producing it. All right, be right back. Okay, we're back over at the computer, and you're looking at the GitHub page for BigTreeTech SKR version 1.3. And I'm showing you this because it tells you all about the board. And did you go watch Teaching Tech's video yet? Seriously. Watch the first 12 minutes of his video. He'll have Marlin 2.0 on your board. It's what I followed. If I went through it, if I did it, all I would be doing is reproducing what he did, which is called plagiarizing, and I'm not that kind of scumbag. So I'm going to touch on the high points maybe, but go watch his video. It's very good. It's spot on. It will put Marlin 2.0 on your SKR 1.3 board. So first thing I did was I followed the instructions for the jumpers. I got the board that came with the 2208 UART stepper drivers. So I came down until I found those instructions, TMC2208 UART mode, and I followed all of these jumpers instructions. Also, when you're setting this up, you want to put the power jumper from internal 5 volts over to USB 5 volts. And I have the board and the Ender 3 LCD panel sitting over at my computer to do this. So next thing you want to do, you want to download Atom, which is a text editor. You want to download Git. This is something Teaching Tech said that it needs. He had problems because he didn't do it. Just get it, download it, install it. You don't got to run it. It runs in the background when it's called for. When you install Atom, something called Clang will be installed. I got error messages when it installed, but nonetheless it appeared to install and everything works. So, oh, you also need to go download the latest build of Marlin 2.0, unpack it, save it to a folder. So, we're going to open up Atom and again, follow his instructions. You need to install platform.io. That's very easy to do. He'll follow his instructions. They're perfect. You need to make some changes in Marlin, copying the Ender 3 files over. You need to make some settings changes in both platform.io and in the settings for what board you're using. His instructions are spot on. The value he's having you put in is correct. The value that you're seeing he's changing from might not be what you see. It doesn't matter. Follow his instructions exactly, okay? So then you click on the tick button up here to build it, and then he tells you have one of two ways to install it. To the board. You can either click the upload button here and it'll put it on the board, or since when you plug this board into your computer, I didn't have to install any drivers. When you plug this board into your computer, it shows as a USB folder. So you can either copy the bin over and do it that way, or you can tell Atom to install it. I did it. Let's take a look at the results. So let me switch over to my webcam. And this is how I did it. I did it with the board and the Ender 3 panel here. I'm going to try and get this up so you can see it here. There we go. And I'm going to press the reset button on the board. And we will see what we will see. Marlin bug fix 2.0.x. And we pop back out to our low-res, typical Ender 3 screen. I was hoping I was going to get some high-res kind of thing here, but on Teaching Tech, he installed a color touchscreen LCD. That's another $25. I may do that in the future, but for right now, let's go step by step. So, that's the installation of Marlin. It really is easier. Honestly, it's easier than on this board than it is flashing it to the original Melzi board that came in the Ender 3. You don't have to flash a bootloader. You don't have to deal with Arduino IDE. It really is way easier. I made one mistake, went back through the instructions, found where I made it, and boom, it was on. This whole process probably hasn't taken me 15-20 minutes. Okay, so now I'm going to get it back over to the printer. I don't have an enclosure yet. I don't care. I'm going to get it back over to the printer. I'm going to get it plugged in, and I'm going to have to wire the UARTs up, and I'm going to see if I can even get a simple print on it. If I can, I'm done with this, and we will move on to an enclosure for it. So I will be right back. Okay, so here we are back. We have Marlin flashed to our new board. We have the 5-volt changed from USB to INT. And a couple things. Notice I have disconnected the stock Ender 3 board now from the wires. One thing, there is a lot of shmoo holding these on, and all of them. So take one of these, or one of these, or one of these, and dig that shmoo out of there. Otherwise, you will tear the connector off or pull the wires out of the connector, and you don't want to do that. Another thing to think about is the new board has 3 pins for the end stop connectors, and the Ender 3 has a 2-pin connector. So in order to do, again, this is all outlined on the video I linked below. The easiest way to deal with this is take one of these little end stops, find, where is one of them? Where is one that I haven't already modified? Here we go. There are 2 little lineup things on it that fit in matching grooves so that you can't put it in wrong. As you're looking at it, cut the left one off. Now, you can use a knife to do that. I just healed my thumb up from chopping it half off, so I just take my little nippers here, and I can't see my screen from here, so I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, if it's focusing, and I just go in and I just work my way up with my nipper, and I just cut that little projection off so that only the right one is left. Then when you go to plug it in on the 3-pin port over here, it can only go in one way, and that way is the right way. So that's pretty much the wiring. If you need a wiring diagram for this board, it's pretty basic and pretty simple. The only ones that are unmarked are obviously the power, but the straight ones, red and black, are power supply in. The ones that are curved around to the side to go in here, excuse me, are power supply to the bed. The small white ones are power supply to the small white ones are power supply to the hot end. The small red and black ones are power supply to the fan. Then you have two unmarked white connectors that are out in front. Now I marked the one that was closest to the front so I'd know which is which. These are thermistor to the bed and thermistor to the hot end. Other than that, they're all marked, and it all looks like it's going to be pretty simple. So I'm going to go ahead and wire this board up, and I bought the 2208 UR or 2208 stepper motor drive stepper drivers. I am going to hook those up too, and we're going to come back and see if this thing works. Be right back. Okay, we're back, and I have pulled all the wires out from the side because trying to work on it under here, underneath the printer, the bed, was making me crazy. So I pulled all the wires out of here. I don't really know what I'm going to do with them yet, but they're really not long enough to go very far away from the printer. But nonetheless, I've got them where I can work on it a little bit easier now. So I don't have the stepper drivers in yet. You can see all the plugs for the stepper motors are still unplugged, but I thought I'd give the board a basic function test. One thing I noticed, in fact, a couple things I noticed. One thing I noticed is on Teaching Tech's video, he says the hot end output wires are red and mine are white and white. I traced them all the way back. I haven't looked at my older one. I'm looking at it now. They're white and white on my old Ender 3 too. Anyway, just be aware everything else is good. That's not correct. So the next thing was, let's go ahead and function test this, then I'll tell you. Let's power it up. And I'm going to bring the screen up, hopefully close enough that you can see what's going on. There we go. I can barely see my computer here, so I'm going to try and keep this so that you can see it. First thing let's do, let's bring the temperature of the nozzle up to, I don't know what, 100. That should give us a decent function test. I did this a couple minutes ago, and the first thing I noticed was that the hot end fan wasn't turning on. Let me get back up to the main screen. Info screen, there you go. You can see it's heating up. The cooling fan wasn't coming on. So I went back and I did a little bit of work, and then I went further on in Teaching Tech's video, and you got to go in and change a pin layout in Marlin. That was easy enough to do. Nice thing about this board from that now on, when you want to update the firmware, you compile it in Atom. Is that focused? You compile it in Atom, and then you just put the firmware.bin file on the card, bring it back and power cycle the printer, and you have updated the firmware. There's no need to plug it in anymore. That's the way the AlphaWise U20 works, and I got to the point where I really liked it. Okay, hot end is hot, ouch, hot, and thermistor is reading, so let's turn the temperature on the hot end. Now let's just go to the bed. We'll turn the bed up to, what, 50? That should give us a decent test of it. Oh, let me get back to the info screen, and we'll make sure the bed is heating. You can see there it's set at 50, and its temperature is coming up, and the bed is actually getting warm. So that's pretty good function test for me at this point. I don't really need to go in and do any of this. So I'm going to head off now, and now I'm going to get the I'm going to get the stepper motors in and then we'll give it a real test. So I will be right back. Okay, so here's a small problem I had was I guess I didn't watch it far enough along in the video, but I noticed that I had no print from SD card option and init SD card did nothing. So I watched along further in the video, and Michael at Teaching Tech has the instructions to do that. He tells you to search for the board name in Configuration Advanced, but I did that and that's not there. So I searched for other things through there and I found a number of things to do with the SD card. And then I Googled it and I found some other things, and people told you to search for things and they're not there either. So apparently Marlin 2.0 is evolving pretty quickly. So after digging through it, I finally found if has SD card connection with some instructions. So, and right now it's commented out and your options are LCD, onboard, or custom cable. LCD is if your external LCD controller has a SD card in it. Onboard is to use the one that's on the card itself. And custom cable is if you're going to use, excuse me, an external SD card connected to the board via a cable. But nonetheless, this define SD card connection is commented out. It's LCD by default in there for me. So it says pound define SD card connection, or hashtag define SD card underscore connection LCD. So what you'll need to do is uncomment that and then change the LCD to onboard or custom cable if you have it, and if you're using an LCD with an SD reader in it, just uncomment it and leave it as is, and then recompile it, put it on a card, and put it in and power the board up. And it will flash it to it, and then you'll have print from SD card. You also lose the ability to connect the printer to a USB cable for flashing. Now when you do the firmware, you'll have to put the firmware.bin on the card, put the card in, and flip the printer on. Big deal. Okay, that's it for now. Oh, and also in another month, Marlin may evolve to the point where that's going to be different too. So take this with a grain of salt. If it's there, great. If it's not, don't blame me. Okay, I'm back. I have the stepper drivers installed. I haven't installed E1. I intend to at some point because dual extrusion is something I want to fool around with. But let's give it a shot. Let's move the axis. Jeez, it's turned on. I have the I hit PLA preheat for the nozzle only, so it's at 185. I'm gonna go. My arm's in the way, isn't it? Let me let me move the camera and get my arm out of the way so you can actually see what's going on. Sorry about that. Let me see. I think I'm zoomed in a little bit. Let me check if I am and zoom out. There we go. Autofocus is on, which means it will be blurry as hell. Okay, so here we go. So, motion, move axis. Let's start with X. We're going to move X 10 millimeters. There we go. Move Y 10 millimeters. Excellent. Move Z 10 millimeters. Okay, and I preheated it because if I don't preheat it, I can't move the extruder. Don't know if you'll be able to see this. Move 10 millimeters, and it is turning. There's no filament in it right at the moment, and we'll let it stop. And now we're going to turn it 10 millimeters back, and that worked. What do you think? Auto home? Dare I try it? Let's try it. Motion, auto home. Here we go. I'm scared. Auto home. Looking good. Looking good. No horrible noises. And there we have it. Let's print something. I'll be right back. I'm going to get some filament in it, and I'm going to get my mirror bed back on and check level, and I will be right back. Okay, it's all together. We're leveled. We're homed. Everything's preheated. Let's print. I've got a print job for an XY calibration cube, 20 by 20. Going to knit the SD card, print from SD card, XYZ cube.g code. I'm excited. I should have cleaned that bed and put more hairspray down because it's a mess, but I'm excited. Let's do this. There we go. Start print. And we're ready to go. I like the fact that the little icons for the nozzle in the bed change when it's reached temperature. I don't know what damn good that does me, but nonetheless, I like it. I notice the part cooling fan is running. Part cooling fan should not be running right now, but it is. So that's something I may have to investigate because the part cooling fan should not be running. Maybe when the print job starts, it will stop. Okay, I'm at 210 and 50. There it goes. Whoa! That doesn't sound good. I hit the far end, and that didn't work out. So looks like I got a little bit of investigation to do. Okay, I'm back, and I'm an idiot. But of course, we know that. When I told the printer to move 10 millimeters, it obviously was not moving 10 millimeters. It was moving 20 millimeters. And had I not been tired and excited and wanted to get my first print in, I would have noticed that. And it immediately dawned on me what I didn't do. I did not tell Marlin that I was using the 2208 stepper motor, so it was using its defaults. So I have now properly configured Marlin for the 2208s, and I have checked my movement. When I tell it 10, it's now 10. We are heated up. Let's try our first print. And do I have the right card in? I believe I do. So initialize the SD card. Print from the SD card. Here's our XY calibration cube. And print. Cross your fingers. Bed cooling, it says. Why would the bed cool? Bed cooling. That's an interesting thing for it to say, since it said at 50 and the current temperature is 49. Huh. But I do like how the icons change whether power is being applied to the hot end or the bed or not. That is interesting. I don't know how valuable that will be to me in the future, but it is interesting. I have another little fun project in mind, and here comes our print, and that is to find a better way to monitor the temperature. So here we go. We're homing. Home looks good. I hear no terrible noises. It seems to be moving a bit slower now. Here is our little strip of filament going to print down the side. Seems to be off from where it normally is by a little bit. Normally it's right on the edge of the printer, right on the edge of the glass. Well, so far so good. Here comes our calibration cube. There's our skirt. Holy cow, dudes. As a friend of mine used to say, now we're logging. Let's watch it for a little bit. I'll probably go ahead and just speed right through this so you're not forced to sit and watch a 30-minute calibration cube print. But yeah, there it goes. So onward and upward, right? So there we have it, our first print with the new SKR, sorry, 1.3 board with the 2208 drivers are done. Let's take a look at it. And yeah, I had already broken it loose. So this is supposed to be a 20 by 20 calibration. And there's a little ringing on it, but it is nice and square, nice sharp edges. Let's make sure we're zeroed. We're zeroed. And we are, can we see that? I can't see my computer from here very well. 20.18 millimeters in that direction. 20.30 in that direction. 20.15 in that direction. 20.44 there. 20.44 there, 20.39 there. There you go. Let me tell you something. This printer is now so quiet, if you weren't looking at it, you wouldn't know it's running. You can take 3 steps away from it and can't even hear it run. It's crazy. Honestly, I don't know if I like it. I kind of like the sound it made. I could tell from the other room when it was still running or if the print was done or if something happened. Anyway, that's it. We're now up and running with the new board. Everything looks good. There may be some minor tweaking to do, but I am ready to start the enclosure and start figuring out how I want to mount things, what kind of box I want. I'm going to start looking on the internet and on Thingiverse for boxes. I may wind up making my own. I don't know. If you have any ideas or you've done it yourself and you want to link me to something, please do it below. Comments, questions. If you need help, let me know. If you want to call me a dummy, let me know. I'm good with all of that. And my thanks to BigTreeTech for making this quality product. It was not sent to me for free. It was purchased by my wife. I bought the one that came with the drivers, or she did. And also my thank, and BigTreeTech put a huge amount of information out with it. Lots and lots of good information with it, and that is really good. They also seem to be very responsive according to other people who have had to ask them for help. My thanks too to Michael over at Teaching Tech for making such a great tutorial video. I think the age of it, the fact that it's a month or two old and Marlin has changed, have made some of the steps incorrect with Marlin, but it still wasn't that hard to figure out. If you're watching this, Michael, I'm not going to tell you I couldn't have done it without you, but you saved me a boatload of time, and my wife and dog probably want to thank you too, because I didn't have to yell and cuss anywhere near as much as I normally would have. So that's it for today. We're going to come back and we're going to do the enclosure and the electronics box, and I hope you all enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'll put links to everything I can think of that you'll need below, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Bye for now.